Hey friends, welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido. In this week, we are exploring the area around Savannah, Georgia. So come along. Savannah is the oldest city in the state of Georgia. Established in 1733 on the Savannah River, the city became the British colonial capital of the province of Georgia, and later the first state capital. A strategic port city in the American Revolution and during the American Civil War, Savannah is today an industrial center and an important Atlantic seaport that nevertheless relies heavily upon tourism. In 2019, Savannah attracted 14.8 million visitors from across the country and around the world to its cobblestone streets, parks, and notable historic buildings. The Savannah Historic District includes 22 park-like squares, part of the original town plan prescribed by founder James Oglethorpe. The Savannah Victorian Historic District is one of the largest national historic landmark districts in the United States. One level lower than the rest of downtown, Savannah's River Street is a fun destination for food, shopping, and nightlife. With new buildings nestled next to former cotton warehouses, visitors will find over 70 shops, galleries, restaurants, pubs, and hotels located on Savannah's waterfront. Fort Jackson, named for the Georgia politician James Jackson, not Andrew Jackson, lies on the Savannah River, 1 mile east of Savannah's historic district. Built between 1808 and 1812 to protect the city from attack by sea, it was one of several Confederate forts defending Savannah from Union forces during the Civil War. Fort Pulaski National Monument, located on Cockspur Island, 17 miles east of Savannah, preserves the largest fort protecting the city during the Civil War. The Union Army bombarded Fort Pulaski in April 1862 with the aid of a new rifled cannon. Confederate troops soon surrendered, and the canyon effectively rendered all brick fortifications obsolete. It's the best preserved of all the defensive fortifications in the southeast that we've visited thus far this season. After the War of 1812, U.S. President James Madison ordered a new system of coastal fortifications to protect the United States from a foreign invasion. Construction of Fort Pulaski began in 1829, under the direction of Major General Babcock, and later 2nd Lieutenant Robert E. Lee, a recent graduate of West Point. Wooden pilings were sunk up to 70 feet into the mud to support an estimated 25 million bricks. Fort Pulaski was finally completed in 1847, after 18 years of construction and nearly $1 million in construction costs. Walls were 11 feet thick and were thought to be impenetrable, except by only the largest land artillery. It was named in honor of Casimir Pulaski, a Polish soldier and military commander who fought during the American Revolution, under the command of George Washington. After South Carolina seceded from the United States and set in motion the Civil War, Georgia Governor Joseph E. Brown ordered Fort Pulaski to be taken by his state. A steamship carrying 110 men from Savannah traveled downriver, and the fort was easily seized from its two caretakers. Union forces gained a foothold across the Savannah River on Tybee Island, and on the morning of April 10, 1862, they asked for the surrender of the fort to prevent needless loss of life. When the Confederates refused, Union troops began the long bombardment of Fort Pulaski using 36 guns, including the new James rifled cannon and Parrott rifles. Within 30 hours, the new rifle cannon had breached one of the fort's corner walls. Shells now passed through the fort dangerously close to the main powder magazine. Confederate forces reluctantly surrendered the fort. Only 2 soldiers, one Confederate and one Union, were injured in the attack. Union forces repaired the damage and within 6 weeks had halted all commercial shipping traffic flowing into and out of Savannah. Late in the war, the fort was turned into a prison for a group of captured Confederate officers. The War Department declared Fort Pulaski a national monument on October 15, 1924, by presidential proclamation of Calvin Coolidge. Union forces had bombarded Fort Pulaski from Tybee Island, the easternmost point in Georgia. The small island, which has long been a quiet getaway for the residents of Savannah, has become a popular vacation spot with tourists from outside the Savannah metropolitan area. It is one of a few locations where the U.S. Air Force dropped an atomic bomb, by accident. Although it of course didn't detonate, the bomb was lost during the mishap and was never found. Fort McAllister State Park covers some 1,725 acres on the south bank of the Ogeechee River. The park is home to Fort McAllister, the best preserved earthwork fortification of the Confederacy. Though the earthworks were attacked 7 times by Union soldiers, the fort did not fall until it was taken by General Sherman in 1864 during his march to the sea, overpowering the 230 Confederate troops defending Fort McAllister in only about 15 minutes. These underground bunkers were used as both sleeping quarters for personnel as well as a hospital for the wounded. In the late 1930s, Henry Ford bought Fort McAllister and began restoring it. The International Paper Company purchased the property from Ford's estate and gave it to the state of Georgia in 1958. Fort McAllister is connected by a causeway to the state park's campground on Savage Island. The campground includes 56 tent, trailer, and RV campsites nestled amongst the live oak and palm trees, many with full hookups. For those traveling without camping equipment, the state park also offers 7 attractive cottages for rent. The campground is beautiful, but that thick tree cover would have rendered our Starlink satellite internet useless, and we need that service to be able to work from the road. So we're staying instead at the Savannah South KOA Holiday in Richmond Hill, located right off I-95. Opened in 1973, it's one of the oldest KOA franchises that is still managed by the same owner-operator family. Our week here in a pull-through full hookup site set us back $52.50 per night. The frontmost loop is for transients like us, while the back loop has some beautiful sites dedicated to long-term stays. We've encountered here some of the friendliest campground staff that we've encountered anywhere. While tempting, I'm going to take a hard pass at dropping my kayak into the campground lake. So we seem to be timing it really well on this swing through the southeastern U.S. for the seafood festivals. And now we're here in Richmond Hill for one of the largest ones in the southeast, the Great Ogeechee Seafood Festival. The 23rd annual Great Ogeechee Seafood Festival is being held in the J.F. Gregory Park in Richmond Hill. As one of the largest seafood festivals in the southeast, it features 3 days of live music, amusement rides, arts and crafts, and locally prepared seafood. So we hope that you've enjoyed visiting Savannah, Georgia with us. If you liked this episode, it is extremely important to us that you give us a big thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you're going to find the comment section. And we'd love to hear from you after each grand adventure that we air every Wednesday evening. We'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. But if you're not yet a grand adventurer yourself, coming up next week, we're going to be visiting St. Augustine, Florida. So now is the perfect time for you to go smash that little red subscribe button. It's the one right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a grand adventure. So until next week from St. Augustine, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.